Hey guys, Frank here. Today we'll check out some stories from us/AskReddit. Here's the first. What's a very American problem that Americans don't realize isn't normal in other countries? Prescription drug commercials. The fear of calling an ambulance or going to the emergency room. That you can lose your job without warning. No notice period where you can get paid while looking for something else. Just getting thrown out of a workplace you've been at for years with your belongings. And that this can lead to losing your right to proper health care because of insurance. Basically, no rights and no safety net. Only the rich seem to get severance packages. Getting time off. 2 weeks here feels like a lot. Ambulance costs. Was in Germany with food poisoning. Drove myself to the ER. They were shook when I told them I did. They then quietly told me you don't pay for ambulances there. The fact Americans act like vacation time, healthcare, education, safety, and work-life balance are luxuries that can't possibly be afforded by society goes to show how abused and brainwashed they are. If Americans could travel and see how other countries operate, they'd come back and demand better treatment, which is why the oligarchs keep us poor. Here's story 2. People who sleep naked, when has it ever backfired? Apartment building caught on fire. I had just enough time to grab my spouse robe, which is missing the tie, and run outside with her infant and toddler. News crew showed up. My kids are trying to crawl into my robe because they are scared. Definitely flashed more people that day than I would have liked. Forgot to lock my front door. I lived in an apartment complex across the street from a bar. AC was on the fritz, so I slept naked and sheetless. Woke up to some lady screaming at me. Turns out she lived upstairs and was too drunk to realize she was on the wrong floor and just barged into my apartment, beelined to the bedroom and turned on the lights. Once she stopped screaming and let me talk, she realized she was in the wrong place and left. I spent a bit winding down from whatever the heck that was and then went back to sleep. Later she apologized to me and somehow it wasn't weird. We were reasonably amicable neighbors after that. Got our house broken into, held at gunpoint. Yep, definitely worse with your D out. While on tour with a show, I got up in the middle of the night to use the bathroom. Half asleep I made my way to the bathroom. It wasn't until I heard the click of the door behind me that I realized I had just stepped out into the hallway. I locked myself out of the hotel room because I had followed the previous hotel's layout. Thankfully, it was the dead of night, and the only person I had to face was the front desk clerk, who didn't laugh too hard. Back in my church youth group going days, they had this tradition where they would drive to the new kids' houses and kidnap them in the morning, throwing them in the church van with all the other kids and take us to a nice homemade breakfast together. Well, middle school me had no idea about this tradition, and was rather shocked when I woke up to 8 of my peers, my youth pastor, and my mom all circled around my bed throwing off my covers. I still sleep naked today, smiley face. During an earthquake, I ran out of the house naked. No one seemed to notice as they were concerned about themselves. I used to sleepwalk all of the time, especially after drinking. One night I wandered out of my room and into my roommate, and also brother's, room. I flipped the lights on and proceeded to take a leak directly onto his floor and in his shoe. After learning about what I had done, apologizing, and buying him new shoes, he let me know the only reason he didn't physically stop me was because he was sleeping naked too. Welp, it backfired on both of us that night. I was once sleeping on my stomach, and my dog barfed on my back. Was sleeping in the nude during university and a burglar came in. He didn't think anyone was home because it was spring break, but I had stayed. He opened my door, saw me, apologized, then took a bag of cookies I had and my roommate's Nikes. Couldn't run after him because, well, I was naked. After I ate too much chili. Would have been easier to just wash my underwear. New kitten decided the dangling bit was a toy. Not a fun way to wake up. Heard the front door close and whispering, then footsteps coming up the stairs. Woke up and thought, frick it, nothing will be more scary to a robber than a big naked man running at them to bash their head in. Waited for them to reach the top of the stairs, whipped the bedroom door open and ran naked with my fist raised back, straight at my sister-in-law. She screamed, "What the frick are you doing?" I stopped and yelled, "What the frick are you doing?" She screamed, "Dropping your daughter off, she had a nightmare. Can you cover your junk?" I had forgotten that my daughter was having a sleepover at her auntie's place and this was a possibility. We all laughed. I slinked back into the bedroom and my wife, in hysterics, took over while I quickly dressed myself. One time I woke up in the middle of the night to our infant child crying. I got up to take care of the baby, and as I passed the stairwell, I see my mother-in-law watching me walk by. Too tired to care. I once had to fight a burglar butt naked. Wasn't informed of scheduled window cleaning. Here's story 3. Plastic surgeons of Reddit, what body-altering surgery would you never get and why? BBLs carry a surprisingly high mortality rate and the recovery is brutal. BBLs carry a surprisingly high mortality rate and the recovery is brutal. She cancelled everything that same day. It's wild how normalized such a risky surgery has become. And it looks ship. BBL butt enhancements because there is very high mortality rates involved. Obligatory, oh no wait, I am an actual surgeon. I would never get a non-surgical or liquid rhinoplasty. Most of the time that's just filler injected into the nose. There is a risk of filler in this location causing you to go blind. In general I would never get any facial fillers. They tend to look worse over time and migrate. And then of course what everyone else said about BBLs. Why risk your life to look like you have a full diaper under your shorts? There is a risk of filler in this location causing you to go blind. In general I would never get any facial fillers. They tend to look worse over time and migrate. It's only 4:58 AM here in LA. BBL is the only aesthetic procedure that has its own autopsy technique. Permanently disabled to be a few inches taller. No thanks. She cancelled everything that same day. It's wild how normalized such a risky surgery has become. They are all asleep. Not just eyelid lifts. I think this is going really well. BBL. Horribly dangerous and the results are often awful. I want to know how they feel about doing implants now that we have all this evidence that implants cause autoimmune disorders. Here's story 4. People who had unrestricted internet access as a child or teenager, how are you right now? Did it screw you up somehow? No, I am very weird and off-putting. Asking Reddit users if they are messed up really isn't going to give you an untainted baseline. I discovered a lot of new music I otherwise wouldn't have. It was fine, actually. Yeah, I saw some ducked up ship, but that didn't shift my fundamental sense of right and wrong. The internet didn't shape who I am as a person. It may have some influence on my language and references, but no, it didn't really screw me up. Totally fine, but I also grew up in the generation of don't give out personal information online and never tried to meet anybody I knew from the internet until I was an adult. The worst side effect was that I still reference early internet memes with friends of a similar age. All things considered, I don't think that's too bad. I mean, IDK man. Seeing two dudes get their heads chainsawed off when I was 14 probably didn't have the best impact on a developing mind. Especially considering I went home and watched some violent sucking corn after seeing that at a fast food restaurant because a friend showed me. I mean, I'm good. Got a high education and save people's lives and ship sometimes. Which is pretty cool. Edit, no matter what awful ship we all saw, none of us should have been subjected to it, whether it be accidental or intentional. Know that you're all wonderful people with infinite potential and the world is better with kindness. Not chainsaw machete deaths. We saw a lot of ducked ship and it helped me in life. I had the internet in my bedroom at 13, Windows XP and dial-up for time reference. About 5 minutes in, I found my way to rotten.com. That was the beginning of the rabbit hole. I've seen some ship. I was already hardened from a tough childhood, but it really desensitized me. Or so I thought. Apparently it's like muscle memory, if you don't use it you lose it. I saw some death videos on here a few months ago and I felt weird for a few days. Curiosity always gets the best of me, lol. I'm okay though. I'd say I turned out normal, but to be called normal in such a profoundly sick society is probably not a win. I wouldn't say it screwed me up, but it did make me have lots of knowledge on intimacy and sexual topics. I was called an intimacy dictionary by my friends in primary school. Neopets really ducked me up as a child. Some of those gore websites really open your mind as to how ducked up or crazy the world actually is. I attribute my career as a software engineer to being given a PC with internet for my birthday when I was 12. I think almost every young person has unrestricted internet access, both now and 25 years ago. How many of us can say our parents monitored their internet usage? It introduced me to fanfiction, corn, cheat codes, game mods and let me learn a lot of history that I otherwise would have no idea existed. It gave me an escape from my father's constant narcissistic abuse. I actually learned what narcissism is from YouTube. Now that I'm going to therapy and starting to heal from the abuse, I don't need corn as much. A lot of good, some bad, but overall positive. I engineer services for an ISP now. Yeah, it had an impact. Here's story 5. What is a can of nonsense you keep opening? The thought that I can responsibly return to my drug use. No, I don't need to write it down. I'll remember. Welp, I keep going to work and hoping that I'll be recognized for not only doing my job, but my boss's job and one of the other managers' jobs by getting a raise. But that never happens. Being overly available for other people. Trying to find reliable, supportive female friendships. Fighting my partner's perfectionism. Don't let perfect be the enemy of good. I keep trying to have the relationship I want rather than the one I have, which is fine. Life is so big and I so often reduce it to a less than 100% exchange at breakfast or a forgotten goodbye kiss. I have a partner standing beside me for decades and still sometimes I complain. People. We are too busy for each other. Too self-absorbed to take interest in each other. Too arrogant to see the problem in ourselves. My front door to window roof salesman. The idea that life is worth living. Biggest crock of BS ever. Reddit and social media as a whole. Or would whole be more apt? This one girl that keeps coming back into my life every 6 to 12 months, turns off any and all of my rational thoughts and promptly disappears whenever we seem to finally start dating, leaving my head properly ducked with and my heart kinda broken. I believe today marks the 7th time. A buddy I've had for 14 years. Dude is a maniac. I don't trust him in my home, I don't trust him around my wife, and I don't trust him around my son. However, he is a darn fun time L. Though police end up always being involved and being banned from bars and shit gets stolen and there's almost always some kind of assault. The Last of Us 2 are conservative, it's just a crock pot of shit full of hate. Thinking about my ex-girlfriend even after 10 months. She was with someone else within weeks after the breakup. No idea how to move on and for some reason I keep coming back. That wraps it up. Alright folks, follow for more stories with Frank.